Hi there, want a new graphics card? Of course you do, but you don't want to pay an absolute fortune for one, right? That's always the biggest frustration whenever either AMD or Nvidia release a new generation of graphics architecture. They always kick off with a higher spec Halo product. And recently that has meant a graphics card that can cost anywhere from $400 to $1,000. I don't know about you, but that's generally a little beyond what I can afford to drop on a new graphics card. But then I am a poor tech journalist. I mean, I'm a really good tech journalist, I just don't have the sort of disposable income that means I can drop a huge chunk of ready cash on a shiny new GPU every other year. It's lucky then that now the high-end graphics card market has settled, both AMD and Nvidia are turning their respective eyes of Sauron towards the mainstream GPU world, that fertile ground from which most of us will pluck a new graphics card. And that means we're about to be treated to Navi-based RX 5500 series cards from AMD and a fresh batch of 16 series supercards from Nvidia. To be fair, Nvidia has already set out its stall in the mainstream market, that sub $300 sector. It shipped out a bunch of GTX Turing based cards earlier this year, sporting the same essential shader architecture that's made the RTX 20 series such a success, except, without the whole ray tracing or deep learning AI shizzle. The GTX 16 series is the inevitable follow-up to the 10 series, because numbers, something about 16 being closer to 20 than 10 or some such guff. With the GTX 1660 Ti, you're basically getting GTX 1070 level gaming performance from a sub $300 card, which really ain't bad. The GTX 1660 in turn bests the AMD's RX 590, while the GTX 1650, well, that just looks a little off the pace compared with the mighty RX 570. But with AMD's imminent Navi-based RX 5500 series on the horizon, Nvidia is being prompted to think again. The rumour mill is grinding away on what is supposedly the imminent announcement and arrival of the first mainstream Navi GPUs, the RX 5500 series of cards. We did some digging around in the Mesa 3D library, and after doing one of them corkboard things with pins and strings and Polaroids, we've concluded that the Navi 14 GPUs will be launched ahead of October 15th. AMD squeezed Navi 12 and Navi 14 support into the last 19.2 version of the Mesa 3D library just as it was being finished. If the GPUs weren't going to be out in the wild until after October 15th, it could have waited for the next 19.3 release. That seems to have been corroborated by recent leaks suggesting an announcement in less than a week. We've also had Gigabyte starting to register its release SKUs for both the RX 5500 and RX 5500 XT cards, which kind of makes us think something is happening pretty soon. So what can we expect from these two cards? Well, we're expecting them both to come sporting the Navi 14 GPU, and from specs gleaned from the CompuBench database entries, the full-fat graphics silicon, likely powering the RX 5500 XT, will have 24 compute units and therefore 1,536 RDNA cores. We're assuming it will still use the exact same RDNA Navi architecture as the RX 5700 and RX 5700 XT, and see no reason why AMD wouldn't. That database entry also claims a max clock speed of 1900 MHz, although whether that's a peak engine clock, boost clock or gain clock, we really don't know. We do know, again thanks to the Gigabyte listings, that both the RX 5500 and RX 5500 XT will come with 8GB of video memory, and from a recent WCCF Tech rumour piece, we're thinking that's going to be GDDR6 on a 128-bit bus. That CompuBench database also has Navi 14 entries with 4GB and bizarrely 3GB capacities, so we can see a host of different GPU designs with different memory capacities around launch. The RX 5500 is a lesser known beast, and will likely come with a cut-down version of the Navi 14 GPU. That WCCF Tech piece talks about an RX 5500M mobile GPU with 1,408 RDNA cores and 22 compute units, so it's likely that will be the base spec of the desktop card too. But as ever, all these specs are based on rumours and totally unconfirmed as yet. Nvidia is obviously looking to consolidate its position in the mainstream GPU market once AMD has launched its latest Navi-based parts, because the rumours are that there will be both a GTX 1660 Super and a GTX 1650 Super launching at the end of October. First will come the GTX 1650 Super, reportedly on October 22nd. Until recently, we thought this was going to be known as the GTX 1650 Ti, but from the recent Gigabyte EEC listing, it looks as though Nvidia has decided to keep things uniform for its next GTX Turing cards and keep them both as super GPUs. The expectation is that the GTX 1650 Super will feature a more powerful GPU at its heart, either the full 1024-core TU117 or a 1280-core TU116 chip. It needs to, because at the moment the current GTX 1650 is well short of the RX 570 in gaming terms. And the fact there's going to be a GTX 1650 Super also kind of tells you where AMD is aiming its RX 5500 card at, especially if that's where Nvidia thinks it needs to up its game. The GTX 1660 Super, on the other hand, is in a bit of a strange position. There's already been a GTX 1660 Ti, so it's going to have to sit somewhere between that and the straight GTX 1660. As such, the rumours are that it will have the same 1408 core TU116 GPU as the standard card, but will use 6GB of GDDR6 memory running at 14GB per second instead. Quite what difference that will really make, I'm not entirely sure, but it means there's going to be a $250 card sat between the $280 Ti and the $220 1660. So as a PC gamer, you ought to be salivating listening to all this, not because of my sultry husky tones, though obviously I wouldn't begrudge you that, but because it's clear evidence of genuine GPU competition at play. With AMD entering the mainstream fray and finally retiring the Polaris GPUs, we could be about to see an unprecedented level of gaming performance at the $200 price point. And with the new supercards coming, it looks like Nvidia is willing to make a real fight of it too. Finally, we ought to mention that errant Navi 12 chip. I had initially expected Navi 14 to sit in the RX 5300 series and Navi 12 to be the one propping up the RX 5500 series, but it looks like I was dead wrong. From some more Mesa diving, a 3D Center forum member has dug up what seems to be references to the memory bus of both the Navi 12 and Navi 14 chips. That's where we get the 128-bit bus spec for the RX 5500 series, and it suggests that the Navi 12 will have 256-bit bus just like the RX 5700 series. Could this actually be the big Navi GPU I've been scoffing at? Well, it kind of looks like there might well be an RX 5900 series coming soon. So thanks for watching, hit us up in the comments and check back on the channel for more PC gaming and hardware stuff, and why not take a look at the old PCGamesN website too, it's a nice place to be. Take it easy.